I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. This is the Billionaire Brown Experience. Let's go.
What's the reason we're here to, share your story?
The main reason starting out was simply giving my experiences as a single dad, essentially. A dad that wasn't necessarily a good dad, but through a divorce and the prospect of losing my children to maybe a weekend stipulation visitation. Me and my ex-wife, Anna, we worked it out. I got 50-50 custody. I stepped up. I became a better dad. And now it's me just trying to maneuver through that life, trying to be the best parent that I can be, because though there's a lot of books written on it, there's really no handbook on parenting. And you kind of learn as you go along, and you get better, I guess, with each child. You make a lot of bumps in the beginning. But even now, I'm still trying to figure it out, and I got these.
Now, I was speaking with someone today over a cup of coffee about your story in particular.
Okay.
And she was asking me, she was like, well, that sounds very interesting, but okay, so your story is your story. Yeah, yes. It's a lot of roller coasters, a lot of hard work, a lot of fighting to get where you're at right now, from drugs to some may consider not the best parenting, not the best upbringing, not the you didn't have the basic foundations of being at the place that you're at right now in life, which is very inspiring to someone like me. But you're sharing your story. And the question that she was asking me is in your opinion, what makes your story, because you're sharing your story obviously to inspire and to maybe help other people that are going through the same thing, to let them know, hey, I've been there and you can get to where you can progress and move forward. What makes your story, in your opinion, different than every other story you may have heard that's kind of similar to your story? What's different about your story?
Well, a lot of the stories I've heard, it's the custody arrangement. Now, mine isn't unique. There are other fathers that had 50-50. There are some fathers that have full custody. Very seldom have I run into them. Most of the stories I've heard are these weekend stipulated custody arrangements. Every other weekend, maybe a day during the week. The father has minimal physical contact with the kids, and yet they're paying substantial amounts of money in child support. To me, it's almost as if you're paying to see your kids, and you're paying too much but not seeing them enough. I'm lucky in that I had an ex-wife that was willing to work it out. The courts didn't have to work it out for us. So it isn't all me. There's other people involved that has made this work as well. So
right, and they all together bring your story together.
Exactly.
So is it the people that were in place, from your grandmother to your ex-wife to your lady, your lady right now, your father? Is it what makes your story unique? Is it the people that you've encountered on this journey, even with the pastor that you was telling us that you built that relationship up with? He was like a father figure. Because now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't really have an answer for her. I was just telling her like the different parts of it because she was very interested. But would you say it's the people that's around you that you've encountered on your journey that make it unique, or no?
No, I would agree with that somewhat, because the fact that I didn't have my parents growing up, I think has shaped me into the parent that I am. That I'm about time with my kids. And we had discussed this before, and I had mentioned this before. I'm not about buying them things and giving them things that I didn't have growing up. That's not the way I think. I'm not going to work 80 hours a week so that I can give them a $3,000 Christmas, because if I can't, I don't feel like a parent. The fact that I'm with my kids on a weekly basis because I don't work 80 hours a week. Now, some parents have to. I'm not putting them down. Some parents are working 2 and 3 jobs to provide for their kids. So we're not talking about that. I run into a lot of dads that they have the attitude they want to give their kids what they didn't have growing up, and that consists of things. Well, I didn't have time growing up with my parents. So I've taken the approach that I want to have time with my children. Whether that be us going somewhere, going to the coffee shop, getting some ice cream, just sitting on the couch watching a movie. It's all about that close, connected, physical time. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go.
So that certainly has shaped me. Me meeting my father and eventually forming a relationship with him, and then when I was going through my separation and ultimate divorce, and I was thinking about going down to North Carolina to live with my sister for a while because I was hurting. I was going through all kinds of stuff, and my dad telling me, "Yeah, go ahead, do that. That's good. You got to take care of yourself." And then like right there, a light bulb going off saying, "Hold up. He didn't chase after his kids when his wife left with his kids and went across the country, and he didn't come find me or take care of me. I need to stay with my kids no matter how much I'm hurting. I need to stay here and go through it." So, yes, there are a lot of aspects of my life that have shaped me into the person I am now, and the outlook I take, and how I want to be a parent to my children.
Okay, so I remember in our previous conversation, I forget which episode, but you were talking about that moment with your father where you guys went, I think it was go-karting.
Yeah.
I asked you, what was the funnest time that you've ever had with your father? And you actually said the go-kart. We saw your face lighten up.
Yeah, it was weird.
Most people heard it, but you can hear, your frequencies all go up to a 10.
Yeah.
You just talked about how important time was. I want to get to your criminal record and how that plays in the way that you can maneuver around work, finding work and things of that nature. But I'm curious to know, what's the last fun thing that you did with your daughters? Tell us a little bit about that. Because some people, like you said, some people think, oh, I took them shopping and I bought them some sneakers, or I let them go shopping online and that was some time that we spent. What is the last fun time that you spent with your daughters?
Well, that'll be interesting because now that my daughter's a teenager, she spends less and less time with me. But the last thing we all did together, well, we went to North Carolina for Christmas. And we don't normally go down there on Christmas. We go during the summer. And we didn't make it down in the summer, so we went down during Christmas. That's just a side note. But the last thing we did was we went to Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. Because that's the other thing I like to do is take them on little trips and expose them to different things. And over the last several years, that's become sort of our tradition of, for their birthdays. I don't do birthday parties. Anna is the party person. I'm more like time with the kids, us kind of hanging out, So we go to Baltimore. And we'll go down to Baltimore and we'll spend the weekend. And last year they had the Light Festival. And we went to Washington, D.C. for a day, checked out some museums, had fun, but then we made it to the Light Festival, which was not only our yearly trip, but it was something new that we had never experienced down there. And we just got to, be running around and just together, me and my 2 girls, all these lights, all these people, just this really fun time at night. Night can be fun when the lights are going off and stuff like that. That was probably the last fun thing we did, which was a year ago. Besides the trip to North Carolina for Christmas, but that's just an annual visit. It was just a new time of year that we were going.
Now, are these road trips? Are these road trips?
Yeah. We'll drive down. We'll go down to Baltimore, and then we'll stay book a hotel, we'll stay overnight, and then
What are
spend the
road
next
trips
day.
like?
They're fun. They're fun.
Okay.
Stopping at the rest stops, getting some junk food. Last trip, I let them get some Slim Jims. They never had Slim Jims before. They were like, these are amazing. Because the other thing I do is I'm kind of stringent on watching their diet. I want to create good food habits in them. So whereas I grew up with junk food and all the dental work I've had will be the evidence of it. Sugar cereal was a staple in the house. It's just bad food. Like they get their treats, but whole foods are the staple in the house. Junk food isn't. Junk food's a treat. You're not eating Fruity Pebbles for breakfast. That's not a breakfast. So anyway, I let them get some Slim Jims, man.
Now, whose decision was it to get the Slim Jim?
They saw them. They wanted to try them. The road trip, I'm in a good mood. They catch me in a good mood. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, get the Slim Jims. Live a little. So they loved them, man. They were like, man, these are so good. So I think I got them some Slim Jims again, so that was fun.
All right, let me ask you this before we get into this criminal record thing is pretty much in our generation, I believe you're a little bit older than I am, but we're in the same generation. So, and more so my generation and the previous generations before, when it comes to parenting, it was more so a thing where it was like a dictatorship. I say this, you don't get to say anything. You just got to do it. It seems like more of, as time is progressing, it seems like parents are giving their children an opportunity to talk, express their feelings, tell them, how do you feel? What do you think about that? How is your parenting with your daughters? Are you more so like a dictatorship, or are you more so, you like to listen to what they have to say and then become the dictator, or however? How does that work with you and your daughters?
I'm more leaning towards and operating as the person that wants to talk things through, hear their opinion. There are times where you have to be the parent and in that you say, look, this is the way it is, and that's it. However, we can still discuss it. I'm still willing to hear your argument. It may not change.
What's an example?
Well, the dating thing has popped up.
Okay.
And
this is your older daughter.
This is my oldest daughter. She's 15 years old. I knew the time was coming. It's inevitable. I've been there. I didn't want it to come. I want to be in denial right now, but she's interested in this boy. This boy is interested in her. She asked me a few weeks ago, what if he asked me to date him? And I just kind of prodded her to see what she thought dating was. Like, well, what do you think dating is? And she's like, well, us hanging out and, together and stuff like that. I said, well, you're doing that now, aren't you? Within the group of friends, but you're hanging out. But we just had the discussion today. Part of me does want to say, no, you're not ready. That's just the part of me that it's just like, no. But then there's that part of me, the way I want to parent. And I want to have the discussion with her. Because she's 15, and even if I say no, I know that behind my back, she could still, they go to school together, she goes out with friends. I would have to completely lock her up to say, it isn't going to happen. So I'm shifting the way I might feel about it, and I'm saying, all right, we've discussed other things, but let's discuss this too. I'm open to discussion.
Okay, so everybody wants to know, how does that discussion go? Because you're going from one side, like I could say, no, you're not having a boyfriend. But you want to have this discussion. So what? It all starts with her telling you that.
Well, she had already told me. Okay. And I already know she liked the boy. She was talking about the boy a lot. So right away, I'm like, okay, she likes this boy. You don't talk about one boy all the time. Just kind of work him into the conversation all the time. I work my girlfriend into the conversation all the time now. The guys at work are probably like, why are we discussing her? Like, what does she have to do with the hang sheetrock, you know? Nothing, but I want to talk about it.